Um, Welcome to Meet My Friends with Daddy Porter, and I am here with my esteemed colleague, Doug Ziegler.
Esteemed colleague. You're even holding it like. So, yes. Hi, folks. Welcome to Meet My Friends. Well, mostly Greg's friends, and I just kind of tag along for fun. So tonight we got Joel Gratcyk.
But today is you're friends with him, for sure.
Yeah, very much so. I'm not friends with the other folks. It's more like, this is kind of your boat, and I'm on it, and I love it. I love joining you for this stuff. So we had Joel on with his partner in crime for Beer Finder, Jeremy Highland. But
yes, if people are watching,
we're going to discuss his plethora of projects outside of that, because Joel is a very busy human, and I'm not sure how he does it all. So
it was without further ado.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Joel.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Doing great. So, let's just jump in here. I know you have a beer. At some point, you can tell us what you have, of course.
Sure.
At the end of the day, anybody who knows you knows you're a beer guy.
This is true.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know you fairly well, and we run in the same circles and the same conferences, and it goes back to Dad too, I believe, San Francisco.
I think that was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw you at the I met you at the Thursday night gig, and we were right outside of it. And I don't know, we just saw each other, and I don't know, I didn't know you from anybody, I don't believe, at that point. I'm pretty sure, or I did research on you, and I recognized you, and then we just started talking, we hit it off from there. So you were at Dad too, San Francisco, with your dad blog, right? So I guess we should start there.
Yes. Yep, Daddy's Grounded. My wife's a flight attendant, so Daddy's Grounded could be taken a couple different ways. One, the stereotypical, hey, Dad's out causing trouble, he's the one having fun with the kids, and then all that stuff. He gets in trouble, he's grounded. That's not what it is, though. Although a lot of people do think that, so it's a fun conversation starter. But my wife flies a lot. Up until recently, with all the COVID-19 stuff and airplanes being grounded and all that shit. But for almost 8 years, I've been dad blogging, and I've been at home with the kids. One kid for the first, he was, well, I don't know. Now I have two. Oldest is 8, almost 8. He's 7 now, almost 8. And then the other one's 3, going on 4.
Wow, getting out of tolerate a little bit.
2 boys, keeping me busy, that's for sure. And I get mistaken for a stay-at-home dad a lot. I guess I am, because I spend a lot of time with the kids at home, but I also get out and about and do things. Again, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, whatever. But yeah, that's how we met. I love Dad too. How many have you been to, Greg?
Oh, 5 or 6.
Okay.
I went 5 with the At Home Dad Network, and then I just went with Doug on my own for the first time. That was in DC. So I would say 6. Nice. I skipped 1 or something like that.
Okay. I think I've only done 5. My first was New Orleans, and my most recent was New Orleans. And then I attended all the ones in between, so you could look at whatever the list was.
Yeah. I mean, we start to forget after it gets, a bunch.
Yeah.
I go over here. I go over here. I almost feel like I go over here, so that's kind of where I'm at. Met and so Daddy's Grounded that's really one of your first. Was that really one of your first projects? I mean, you've been doing it for how long? It's been at least.
I started late 2012. That dad blog.
Okay.
8 years.
So 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
My first post was about my wife losing our first pregnancy, the first time we were expecting. And it got some good traction because, at least at that point, a lot of guys didn't really talk about it. I was dealing with that, and one of the ways I decided to deal with it was to kind of just bare my soul on the internet. And it got a lot of conversations started, and a lot of people found it helpful. So I'm thankful for that. And then luckily, about 6 months later, we're already back on the train again for
back on the horse.
But yeah.
Yeah, we ended up with 2. Is that still out there on the blog?
It is, yeah.
What's the name of the piece? In case people want to.
I would have to look it up for you.
Okay. But if you go on Daddy's Grounded and look, right? Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely. There's several posts on Lost, but that'll be the very first one you can find.
Gotcha. Doug?
So that's you and I met basically online before we met in person. And I think we met in San Diego, if I'm not mistaken, for Dad 2. And I remember it being just Daddy's Grounded, and you were the beer guy. I didn't, Joel, great, I'm a beer guy. Let's go talk beer. You and I, kind of hit it off for that stuff. And, seeing you kind of branch off in all these different directions, it's been pretty, I'm in awe of it because I'm too lazy to do half the things you do. And I'm just I think it's pretty freaking astounding how much you get into. I
mean, you have, or at least had for a very long time, a full-time job.
Yes.
And I did the last full-time job I had was a full-time job. I was working sometimes 50, 60 hours a week for 12 years. So I understand that. And a lot of the stuff that I've kind of branched out in started the last couple of years I was there. But I mean, I've had almost 2.5 years now of me and the kids, and then being able to have some creative time to do freelancing, and then, dad blogging and all that stuff. So much respect, though. I really had trouble with that whole day job thing. I may or may not go back to it eventually, but for now, this is good.
Yeah, you not to get too far into the I remember your not being so enthusiastic about that particular day job. So
true.
Right.
Very true.
So Joel, I just started working with the Black Fathers Foundation, a nonprofit outside of located outside of Maryland. Oh my goodness, blah blah blah.
How many beers have you had?
That's it.
That much.
That's it. Anyway, I just started working with the Black Father Foundation out of Maryland. I met up with Matt at the last Dad 2, another Dad 2 plug.
Cool.
And I just shared. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I just shared this today and tagged you with under their Twitter. I think this is a fantastic. This is just a sampling of, in my opinion, the good work that Joel does here. Joel does a lot of timely stuff for fathers, and this is just another good one as far as having 30 days of activities with your kids. So I just wanted to shout that out because I enjoyed it, and I think we all, there's no father out there that is quarantined with his kids that doesn't need that page.
Right. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it's got everything from like coloring pages of cars to this, Chicago White Sox baseball stuff. And I'm working on one for some Doctor Who activities later this week. I think it's going up tomorrow. If you're a sci-fi fan, it's something I found last week. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I need to hit that in there. And you'll see as you go through, it's not 30 consecutive days. I think I've been working on this for 6 weeks, but every couple of days something new goes up. And it's helpful to have because, again, with the little kids, you're not like every day, okay, what's today? You're trying not to pull your hair out and keep the kids as busy.
Body training Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So that's a good resource, a timely one. It could even be used outside of the pandemic, outside of quarantine for sure.
Yeah, I've been very specific with this one to make sure that it's what is it, evergreen content.
Yeah,
which is great that they have a lot of these people, these storytellers reading stories during the day, and you've got live opera, and you've got all kinds of stuff that's really timely but will expire. All the stuff that I'm listing here is stuff that'll last, a year or two out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Also, I'd like to point out that the design of your website is pretty snazzy and slick, and that's not always the case with folks. I just use a free cheesy WordPress site to write stuff, so I can admire people that can, all right, I'm putting this together and it just looks sharp. It works really smoothly.
Well, I thank you for the compliment, but I can't really take a lot of credit for it. That header is custom. A friend of mine did that for me, and I've got a whole post on how he took my stick figure mess and made it look beautiful like that. And then my site's a WordPress site, and it's using a free open source theme. I didn't pay for this theme. It's awesome. It's called Human, but it's spelled weird. So if you did a search, you could find it.
Human.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely pretty, Joel, for sure, man. Really nice. So that leads me to I only have an hour or so with you, so I gotta move it.
Hey. I understand. It's all good.
That leads me to another one of your side projects that that I've always been fascinated with, and you made a presentation about this at Beer Bloggers.
Yeah.
And I continue to be fascinated by the ones that you put out. Obviously, we haven't seen any recently, nor should we, because you're being good and quarantining.
Yep.
Where does this come out of your brain, the 360 tours? Tell everybody what it means and what you do. But also, I want to know the creative I want to know kind of where that came from, being a dad blogger and, all the other things you do. But this is one that's just kind of like a little bit out of left field.
Well, one of the things I really liked is I've been a fan of 360 photography since the late 90s. I haven't actually done any of it until probably the last 5 years. And if you don't know what 360 photography is, it's a way, and I should have had my camera to show you. It can be as simple as having like a little handheld camera that has 2 lenses on each side. And it'll let you take one photo that will let you see completely 360 degrees around you, above you, below you, depending on, where your tripod's at and stuff. And it's an immersive experience. There are video versions of it, and there are still image versions of it. It's just fantastic. And up until the last 5 years, cameras to be able to do that were like $6-7 grand. It was ridiculous. If you go to Portfolio, there'll be some images that I've done for this. But it's really neat. I've done everything from doing tours on Google to doing standalone tours for real estate, where they can send a special link just to their tour of a old grocery store or whatever kind of place they're trying to move, and let people see it, especially now because there's not a lot of travel, but real estate and investment still happens. So done that. Libraries, doctor's offices, done a lot of brewery tours.
Hi, Joel.
Can
I talk to you here?
Yeah. I haven't used this app in a bit because I haven't had a lot of people use it. Oh, look, it still works. But I have to sign in. I'm not going to try and remember my password now while I'm on the phone with you. That would be But I did get a notification, so if you do chat with me, I can chat with you back.
Okay. So keep going. It's
a lot of fun. It's a side project, a side income for me. Some months I'll do 3 tours, and then sometimes I won't do a tour for 6 months. But it's something that I like, and it's a lot of fun. I originally started with 360 photography because I was with the whole dad blogging crew. I was able to get a 360 camera, and it lets me not be the one behind the camera all the time. And I don't have to take a selfie to be in it. It's something where you can hold it at arm's length, maybe, or have it remotely controlled on a tripod, and I can be in the picture and everybody around me. Or I've been to some corporate events or like conferences that's a lot of fun to hold the picture out, and you've got a circle of people, and the whole circle of people is there in the photo. You can pan around it and look around. It's really neat.
It is fun.
I've done a couple of beer tastings at beer tasting roundtables live that way too, where you can look in 360 degrees and see what people like, what people don't, if they're pouring, and all that stuff.
Right. Doug?
So the 360 stuff, I don't know very much about photography, but I have some coworkers who are really into photography, and like their setups are insanely expensive. And that's why you were saying about getting a 360 camera, and you said it was like $6-7 grand. Yeah, that's not a lie. That's pretty normal for that. Back
right, in the day. Right, exactly. And so now you can still spend that much or more if you're doing high-end commercial work, or if you're working on, I don't know, like super fancy websites, that sort of thing. The stuff I have is what's called prosumer. The camera I've got is about a $500 camera, but they have entry-level cameras that are decent and that meet the quality standards for like Google Maps that start at like $220, $230. So it's not a drop in the bucket for a lot of people, but it's an easy entry where you can buy it and do one tour. You've paid for your camera, you know?
Yeah. Well, my friends that have it, they have like, they could buy a lens, and a lens is like $3,000, just a lens for your camera. And I'm like, Jesus, man, like,
yeah,
that's an expensive hobby.
If I ever get famous or something, then I'll probably invest in that sort of stuff. But I just have the one pocket camera, and I've got a cheap light setup that I bring if I have to, you know, for a small area I can cover. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating to me because I have one thing that I can do that's artistic, and it's I can write, and that's it. And seeing people that can do multiple things like that, I enjoy seeing people being able to do that. And your 360 stuff, I always look at it like, man, that's fucking awesome, because I couldn't.
I mean, you can get some epic selfies too, where you could just hold it out and get you and just a massive group of like 40 people, plus the background of whatever the skyline is. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I can speak to the you know, I have actually 2 360 cameras, and Joel and I have talked about this actually, and I consulted Joel when I bought my first one.
You don't use them enough, or at least you don't share it if you do.
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
I'm about to explain all that. I just want to attest to the level of creativity. Like, you can't, in my opinion, and I know this from fact, you can't just walk out with a 360 camera and it just all, the magic just happens. There, in my opinion, there's a level of creativity, and there's a deeper level of thought than I've ever really given to it. And thus why, Joel, you don't see many of mine. Now, I do take a lot of them, but for some reason they just never hit the fan. They never hit or I take a bunch of them. But again, there is a level of again, how you hold the camera, where you do it. It's just more than just putting it up there and taking a picture. I'm just letting you know.
Sure.
So yeah. I mean, there is some expertise. I mean, a lot of everybody has. The thing about our technology now, and one of the good things about our society, is that everybody has access to fantastic technology. Now, not everybody knows how to use that. So again, Joe, you'll know that these phones have great cameras now.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
But going like this isn't the best use of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like you have to know,
like me, that's the use I get out of it.
Right. Or for me, it's like taking pictures of my flights. But like there's a level of our friend Pat Jacobs is, he's a photographer. Our friend Mike Adams is a photographer, and those guys know how to set up and frame pictures, even with their dumb phones, that I could just never do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just giving you a little hat tip to saying that it's not as easy as it appears. But at the same time, though, if you put a little bit of effort into it and a little bit of thought, I think you can get a long ways with this technology.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, even like Doug was saying earlier, website design. Like some people can do a lot with a little, and some people just don't have the knack for it. But it is what it is. I mean, I pretend to be able to cook. It's edible, but it's not my strong suit. And other people are just amazing at it, and I completely enjoy that. So.
Yep. So we got to move on. So I'm gonna move on. I want to show everybody your let's see here. Am I on it? Am I on the right one? Okay, cool. I want to show everybody here your I would call this, from doing research on you, I would call this your main site, or actually this one here I like because I can get to most of what you're doing.
Right. This is the stuff that I update the most.
You can see this right on your screen.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, this is, I think I have it up to on the bottom, joegratcyk.com or joel.gratcyk.com. Want to speak a little bit about this, because obviously is this like your main portal? So if I want to grab anything that is yours, I can basically get it here.
Yeah, most of it's there. It's basically a hub for my links, different places. It's also got my resume I use if I'm sending that to people for projects or usually temporary gigs that I'm working on or trying to get a hold of. I don't know. It's one of those sites. It doesn't get a ton of traffic, but when it does, it's usually traffic that's really important. So I'm happy to have it.
Yeah. Doug, I'll let you jump in here quick, but I just want people to know Joel does a brewery jobs board, and he also he also does a brewery finder app. You can find all that and meet my friends on my YouTube channel. It's archived there. We spoke a really good long time about both those projects.
Yep.
Doug.
So what's interesting is like having like a main hub for all your, for lack of a better term, side hustles is it's cool that you have just a main sort of entry point, because otherwise, here's the thing. I go, well, I want to see 360 and I want to see this. Well, if you didn't have a main hub, it would be harder to kind of locate those things. So
sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what other point I'm trying to make there. Maybe I need to drink.
Hey, Victor. Thanks for watching.
I'll drink that.
Yes, we'll see Victor and Gil on Sunday at 6 p.m.
Yeah, man, that'll be great.
Yeah, I will be watching that one. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, 10 years of Fan Dad, so that'll be fun too. And those guys.
There will be a zillion Halo Wars jokes, which will fucking suck, but because I hate Halo Wars, and Halo is my favorite franchise, and they always joke that I like it.
And you're already teeing it up because he's watching. And
dude, I didn't even have to say anything. Both Gil and Victor will say shit about it, so I'm just preempting it.
Well, while we're here, Joel, you a gamer?
I am what is called a casual gamer. I enjoy Super Mario Brothers and the Nintendo Switch stuff. I think if I had a setup and time, I would be more into gaming. I've just never been able to, GoldenEye N64 back in the day was awesome. I've got, the updated one on the Wii and that sort of thing, but I'll sit down and I'll play with the kids or I'll play on my own for a little bit and then it's usually off to doing something else. So
yeah. Hey, Super Mario is freaking great. All of those, there's a million derivatives of that and they're all fun.
My kid would know. I mean, Nintendo sent us a Switch a couple years ago and I think we've got like a dozen games and like 8 or 9 of them are Mario or Mario based. That is what's in our house right now.
Yeah. Screw you, Victor.
he's pre-gaming it right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drunken GoldenEye. There's an old one.
GoldenEye. I love it. I'm very excited. Side note too. There is a project where there's a couple guys rebuilding and remastering the entire game. They'll be releasing it, I think, in 2 years for the 25th anniversary. I could be wrong.
Wow.
But I've been
watching about right. I think that's time-wise. I think that's about right.
Yeah, I've been watching them on Twitter, and they like post walkthroughs of some of the things I've got going on. All new HD graphics. I'm very excited about it. GoldenEye. Yeah, it's a HD remaster. It will be PC only, which I'm a little annoyed about, but I got a PC I'll play it on. So
yeah, it'll be fine. And GoldenEye is kind of like considered one of the super duper classic games that you could play.
Right. Exactly.
Drunken GoldenEye was a thing.
Well, if you could get drunk and play GoldenEye, I think that's pretty bad. That's like me and Tecmo Bowl. Like, I'm a lot older. So.
Oh, that's okay. I've got that on Nintendo, so that works.
So you're a teacher.
I am. I have been doing work on websites since. See, I put my first website up in 1996, and I've been doing work with that. I mean, ever since I started working with WordPress in 2004, and it launched in 2003. So I feel like a experienced guy in that area. And I got tired of answering individual questions because I felt like if I could put it in some sort of a format, like an online class, where I could teach the basics on video and have people learn about it, and then follow up with specific questions, like in a Facebook group or whatever. I think that would be a better use of my time. And so I originally wanted to launch these last year. Some stuff happened and that didn't happen, but I'm hoping now with some extra time at home, I'll be able to get at least one or two of these done and launched by summer. So,
well, there's plenty of time for people now. So
yes, yeah, exactly.
Extra time at home. So now that you brought that up, we're gonna cut this off, and because you do a lot of things, brother. But one of the things that you are at the end of the day, and it always comes back to, is a father. And also another thing that people don't know about you, what I'm about to say, but you said it a little bit earlier. You've been a quote work at home dad forever. So really, precisely in my opinion, you've been doing this pandemic life before it was a thing or before it was cool to throw a little light at it.
Sure.
So do you have any tips for people, for people who are forced into this now? Like, everybody else, unfortunately, Doug is not quarantined with his sons, but if he was quarantined with his sons, he would be forced into this too. So, if you're a father, you're either, you're either forced into it or you're forced into, like, unfortunately, Doug's not seeing his kids until we get out of this. Do you have any tips for people who are, fathers who are, have to work like you do? You have 6,000 things going on, and then obviously you have young kids.
Well, I always remember Andy from How to Be a Dad. He wrote a post years ago about and right, I get it. Like most of their stuff was like
funny. When you say his name, it just invokes smiles and laughter.
Yeah, I mean, him and Charlie, they did a giant pool full of Coca-Cola, and they strapped Mentos to themselves and jumped in at one point. That was years ago. It was really funny. But Andy wrote a serious post, and I don't remember if it was on the blog or if it was on his Facebook or whatever. And it just hit me, and it was a reminder that, like, he was in bed with his kid reading stories at bedtime, putting his kid in bed, and he had to fight to pay attention to his kid and the story at hand and not want to be on his phone. Because if you know him, he walks around with his headphones at least half in all the fucking time. I mean, he'll be out in public.
Yes.
And that's what he does.
Yes.
But in that moment, he felt like he really had to pay attention to his kid because they grow up, they get older, they go away. Like, no matter how much you may be, overtouched and like, okay, I need space with these little kids because I've got, like I said, little kids. They grow up and they want their space and they move on. And he was like, I've got to pay attention. And I've read that years ago, and it still sticks in my head that when I'm trying to work on something and, Wesley comes up or Theo's like, hey, let's have a dance party or let's go do this or that. I've got to pay attention to them. And that's specific to, someone who works a lot, someone who has young kids. That's important. But it changes too, because some people have houses with yards. Last year we had a house and a yard, and we're in an apartment now on a third, fourth floor. And, there's no balcony, there's no playground like that we can just play at. It's a big community playground, which pre-pandemic didn't matter. We could go out. And now we still have to make a point to at least go out and walk around the neighborhood or down the trail and give space as needed. I don't know. It's hard. It's different for everybody. I do like the space. I miss going to Meijer at like 3 a.m. to go grocery shopping as my break because they're not open 24 hours anymore because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
For me, that's been one of the biggest things to change. Or when I do have to go out every couple of weeks for groceries or something, I'm battling my own anxiety and, just basic fear, of what might happen. My wife still flies sometimes. She's been to Newark twice in the last 2 weeks. And that's scary because we all know what's going on there. So far, so good, but it's hard. I'm rambling. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
no.
Different for everybody.
I think, I don't know, Doug, I'm leading into you, but I think a lot of people feel the same way as Joel. It may not be specific. Sure. It may not be the specific, again, I think what you're saying, Joel, for sure, is that like everybody has specific issues that we're going through at this time.
Right.
and mine aren't bigger than anybody else's. But at the same time, I'm just saying you're rambling a little bit, but I'm more like, I feel you and I hear you.
Cool.
And your wife is a frontline worker too, so that angle I don't have, so I can't relate to, but I understand and I hear enough about it that I'm like, man, that's that's a lot to deal with for sure. So it's just I like to say day by day, and I don't know, Doug, do you ever follow up on any of this?
Well, as Craig said, so my oldest son is here with us. He's home. He's taking his college courses home, so he's been doing that online. Our daughter, she's going back and forth to her biological dads. When this all started, my ex-wife and I decided the smart thing would be to have our sons stay with her because they had to do school and all that stuff. It just made sense. And I said, let's leave the least amount of contact we can, because to me, that's smart. You want to be cautious and you want to be, make sure everybody's where they are and make sure that you're minimizing the amount of contact you can. So my ex-wife is a nurse, and that's also a point of concern, just because I don't want her getting sick. We're exes, but she's mother of my kids and we're friends. So I'm not going to want anything to befall her. And the other part of that is then I have, my sons are there. So one thing that's a bit different for me is like, I haven't seen my kids physically, like my sons from my first marriage. I haven't seen them physically in almost 6 weeks.
Wow.
That's been super hard, but I am going tomorrow, my youngest son's 13th birthday. So I'm going down and I'm just going to make sure, like, I'm not going to be able to hug him. I'm not going to be able to be near him, but this is part of responsibility in that. And as I told him, I said, listen, I'm not going to be able to hug you, but I want to see you. So, it's, I'm rambling now, but it's just more like the idea of like, everybody has different experiences. Your anxiety shopping. Oh, listen, I'm not an anxious person. I don't have anxiety issues. And I go to the supermarket and I'm just like the entire time, like, stay 6 feet away from me. And like,
right. I mean, the last 3 times I've been out, the first time I had a lady yell at me because I wasn't wearing a mask and because I was talking. I'm like, well, number one, I ordered masks 3 weeks ago. They haven't fucking shown up.
Yeah.
2, I just said hello to the cashier and there's a giant plexiglass shield here. Chill. And 3, my wife's a flight attendant. You better back the hell up. And she got quiet. Second time, people got an argument at the deli. Like, I don't need deli meat that much. I'm gonna walk over here, And another time, in the dairy section fighting over milk, and I was like, oh my god, it's not that. Again, I just avoid the area and keep going. It's like that does not help anyone. And I get it. Like, people are stressed and they're uncomfortable and they want to be in control.
Yeah.
But starting fights at the supermarket.
Yeah. Greg, do you see any of that shit when you're out? Because you go super early when all the
I go at 6. I've been out to the supermarket and that's it. I think I went out once I go to the supermarket at 6 a.m. I don't see any of this. I see like 3 people. I have like a suburban store, so they have the the senior suggested seniors in the morning and all that. But there's only like 5 people in there. There's 5 people in there. So
oh, okay. Well, that's good at least.
And I just rush around and I have a list and I'm in and out and the family helps with the list and all that. So yeah, I'm not trying to be out there. And it won't be for a while, but we getting back to where we, after our tangents here, getting back to the main focus, which is like everybody, especially, everybody talks about parents and all that, but we're fathers, so we can relate to being fathers. And fathers are, again, generally are not at home workers. They're generally not homeschoolers. I know I break all those things, but this isn't about me. So it's just a really trying time for fathers, regardless. And you at least have the option of, or you at least work at home mostly. What I'm hearing a lot from fathers is that they're the transition from work home to work home, they're getting more work at home. So not only are they getting more work at home, or I just hear people say, they're piling on me, or it seems like I got more of a workload than I had I've heard this a bunch of times actually, and it's really interesting. But that these are the kind of things that fathers are facing now. On top of the whole, I gotta help my kid, help guide my kid through the schoolwork. So, this is something that again, you as a work at home dad have been doing. I've been doing it as an at home dad, but I can just see and feel the struggle of fathers. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to make sure that you had a little time to talk about that, or if you have any more, that'd be great. Or if I can move on.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I really like about my dad blog is it's given me a platform and a place to be able to not just express myself, but to be able to partner with organizations that do good work. I'm actively working with Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio right now. They've got a whole thing about breaking stigmas with childhood illness and specifically childhood mental illness and being able to talk about that. Talking about, my wife and her miscarriages has been a big one. People have really taken to that, and I've been happy about doing that. And, I'm not the typical rah-rah male, yay sports kind of a guy. Yeah, I like beer, but I'm not really into cars. I'm not really into kind of the normal sportsy stuff, and I like it. I mean, I watch the World Cup. I watch the Super Bowl. I have fun with, going out to the games. But for me, it's more of a social event. And, I'm on Twitter a lot. I get called a beta male a lot. And I think it's funny because
you get the fanboy shit.
Yeah, people are usually they're like posturing and like, oh, I'm such a big man. But like, if you're basically calling me a baby and I'm like, good on you, dude. He looks bad, not me. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. I think it's good. Like I said, it gives me a place to be able to be myself and let other people that are like me know that it's okay to be different. There's nothing wrong with that. So,
Joe, where do you? Obviously, quarantine's a different time, but even let's just pretend that we're not in quarantine.
Yeah.
How do you find time for yourself when you're always working at home and the kids are at home and again you're involved with them, or it doesn't really necessarily have to be homeschool level, but it's still I mean, you got 2 young kids, so they're all over you at all given points. So how do you carve that time out? Is there any tips you can give there?
Well, this is specific to my situation, for sure. There are 2 different things. One that is very specific to my situation. My wife she travels for work, and so when she travels, if they're in bed and she's on a trip, I've got like the whole night to myself, and I can, chill out at home, watch movies. I can work on something. I can read. I could go to bed early. Like that is something that's nice, and I enjoy that. And then the other thing, just getting out of the house. I make sure at least once a month. My wife agrees with me, at least before this whole thing. At least once a month, I go out and have a guys' night. I can go to the brewery, or we go hang out, or do just whatever guy stuff. And that's really helpful for me. Sometimes it happens more often. Sometimes it doesn't. Depends on, work and responsibilities. I'm finishing up my associate's degree. Finally, I'm probably going to graduate before I turn 40. So that's good. Have a piece of paper. Maybe it'll mean something. I don't know. But I'm supposed to have it, so I'm going to finish it out. Hope that answers the question.
No, that's good. Doug?
So the other thing is like, how are you managing to have time for yourself now? Like, we can't go out to the bar. We can't, like, guys' night is Zoom or something like that. Is that something that you utilize, or do you have time where you're like, for me, and this is going to sound really odd, a self-care thing for me is a super duper hot shower for like 10, 15 minutes. And it sounds dumb, but it's a space I go. I'm in a shower. I'm just sitting there with hot water, and I like it to scald the fuck out of me like I'm a lobster.
And but take the beer in there.
Then I sometimes take a beer. But like, what do you do to give yourself some alone time where you can just kind of collect yourself? Because that's important too.
Yeah. I am not a super outgoing person. when I'm in a group, I can come off that way, but I'm one of those people who I'm naturally introverted. And then when I'm in a group, I can be extroverted. But when that group time is done, I totally need my own self time to kind of regenerate. And so I really enjoy, at least during quarantine, these get-togethers. You guys, some of my other buddies, we've gotten on Zoom or Skype or Google Hangouts or whatever they use and hung out and talked about beer, about life, and hey, what's going on? I'm not much of a person to talk on the phone unless I really know the person, unless there's an established relationship there. And I've got some people I can talk to like that I've known since like middle school, a handful of them, and we talk about life. How's life? How's work? How's marriage? How's dating? I'm glad I'm not dating now.
Oh my God.
Just being able to have conversations and connect with people for me is really good. But that happens probably once a week, maybe. And for me, that's a lot, but that works for me. So, yeah.
Greg, I'm going to ask you the same thing. What are you doing? Because we have not really talked about that. What do you do to give yourself some free space?
This show.
Because you're constantly talking to people, and I know that's what you do. But that's your free space?
No, yeah. My boys are teenagers, so the space thing is less of an issue. I mean, and we have a 2-story, pretty spread out house where everybody has their own room, and we have 4 people. So we have our space kind of already. And again, we're used to being around each other, being homeschoolers, and Mama works from home. So we're used to all this, but my show, really. And, like Joe says, talking to get people on the show, booking them, talking to Doug all the time, doing these shows. My show's been my escape. You guys know, especially Doug knows, but Joe, too, I'm a news guy. So it's cool generally, but it's not cool during the pandemic because I don't know when to take myself away. So again, this show takes me away. This show takes me away. Ask Doug a half an hour before the show. I'm in here playing music, and that music relaxes me. It gets me ready. It puts me in the zone to, focus on my guests or focus on having fun with Doug on Fridays and have a guest. So it's my show, man. It really is. And I don't know. We'll just meet my friends thing. It was something the first shout out to our wonderful friend Paige. Cheers, Paige.
She's awesome. Yes.
She was the first one to do one long ago. She's the first one. If you go back, we did it like 8 months ago. So this was something that was in creatively. It was there for me, but it was hard. It's hard to schedule crazy and successful people. So I found that out. It's really hard.
All available.
Right, but during the pandemic, it's really easy to schedule busy people. So I know you're home, and if you're not, why the F aren't you home? So then, right. There's some people who are, again, essential, who have to work. And then there's also people who work from home. So that restricts them. But even still, they're like, look, after 5, Doug was one who's like, after 5, man, I'm in. I just have to work. Okay, great. So then there's times where, I don't know if you guys see, sometimes I do schedule at night, schedule during the day. But scheduling during the day helps me because it just gives me more availability. Thus, I've been able to do more. So, again, look, look when I scheduled the dad. Well, look when the dads get scheduled. Most of them get scheduled at night because they're doing all that stuff at the day.
Kid shit.
Right. And their kids are like, all right, you're like, okay, it's 9:00. I'm out. Like, you're sleeping, you got a tablet, something needs to be going on at this age. You know what I mean? So no, Doug, it's basically been the show. So I have to ask Joe. So Joe has a podcast. Did you know that, Doug?
I actually did not, and I'm really mad that I don't know that.
It doesn't. I have, I think, 8 episodes. I did record one 2 days ago that hasn't gone up yet. But I've got 9 episodes in 2 years, so it's not like super often.
Oh wait, I did see you mention this, and I just never went and found it. I'm sorry, man. That's my fault.
So originally,
tell us about this.
Not 16, 17. Well, whatever. It's probably 17. I had a minor health scare. I wasn't taking care of myself. My cholesterol was like through the roof, and my doctor was like, "You need to get this under control." And I did, and I'm doing well with that now. But at that time, I was like, well, no one is going to document my life, so what the hell? Like, why don't I do something? Number one, to kind of document who I know and some of the stories that I have to share, but at the same time, give me a reason to call people up. Like some of these people, Jenny, I hadn't talked to in years, and was like, hey, let's hang out and chat. We talked for like an hour and a half, just about life and stupid things we did as teenagers and whatnot. And it's kind of fun. So that's what that is. I have one I'm working on right now. I'll be interviewing an old boss from 20 years ago.
Wow.
That'll be a pretty interesting one. When that posts, I'll let you know about that too. But it's fun, something small, something simple. But for me, it's an outlet.
So it's autobiographical.
Yep.
So it's important people that have that you've met that have changed you or altered your view, or is that the kind of angle?
Absolutely. So I generally introduce the person, let them talk about whatever they're doing, what they're up to, talk about a little bit about their background, how they grew up, that sort of thing. And then we talk about how that person met. And I usually end the podcast with them giving some sort of feedback about myself, comparing how I was when they met me to how I am now, and what they think of the progression or
regression.
Nosedive.
That'd be what to be afraid of.
That I've done since then. And I've gotten some mixed answers, but I'm okay with that. I think it's pretty interesting to see what people think about it. So. And it's not like this. So I can let people say whatever the fuck they want, and I edit it and say, like, is this cool to post? And then we post it. So
and that is the actual link right there, friendsbeer.coffee.
Yes.
Doug?
So that I think that the idea of like having someone give you feedback from when they met you and where you are now is pretty fascinating, because I'm not sure I'd be that open to it, because when I was younger, I was a giant dickhead. So like, like, man, you're a real asshole. You're much better now.
Well, it's true. Both interviews with people and Jenny were basically like that. I mean, when I was younger, I was this, not to offend anyone, but I was the super religious fuckhead, and I was very judgmental, and this.
You were that guy. You were that religious guy.
I was that guy, and I'm sorry for that. And,
okay, no worries.
They were able to kind of compare the difference. Like, you've grown up, you've learned some things, and that's good. And other people who are still there, like, we're disappointed in you, but that's okay, because
you're a giant disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to get feedback from them.
I can say you're very far from that now. I can confirm.
Thank you. That's the idea, but it's nice, I think, to document it at least, because there are people I haven't talked to from that time in my life, and at least I'd like it out there somewhere that I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I have a question.
Sure.
I'm going to say the word affiliation with Five Iron Frenzy.
They're jerks. Nobody likes them.
Is that something you were in, or is it just something you were friends with, or
the going back to talking about like gear and using what you have to do the best you can. Mm-hmm. Years ago, I was just a fan of Five Iron Frenzy, a ska band that no one cared about from Denver, Colorado. That started in 95 or 96. I was going to their shows by 98, and followed them through until they quit in 2003, and went from being a fan to being friends with a couple of them. And they broke up, and then that was that. Like, just some of them did side projects, some of them, one's a music producer in New York City, one's a nursing home director, one's a pastor. Like, there's a whole one guy's a Comcast installer, or at least he was recently.
Yeah.
They have families, they have normal lives. That's done, and that's that. The quick story is I don't remember, a few years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, there was a miscommunication. It just so happened that since I'm a domain name guy, I like websites and stuff like that. 5ironfrenzy.com expired. I bought the domain name at auction. I bid against a bunch of people who I don't know who they were and spent entirely too much money on it. and had a fan site for a long time, because if you remember 5 Iron Frenzy, you may remember the OC Supertones, and supertones.com got bought and ended up being like a ringtone site. And I was like, that's stupid. I don't want my band, my favorite, whatever, fanboying. I don't want that band, their website to go away. So I created a fan site. So it was like 3-4 years. The site was up by itself on my own, no affiliation with a band whatsoever. And it just so happened serendipitously that the same day I decided to put a countdown timer on the website for me to say, this is going to be a new design and some new interviews that I'm going to do, but I haven't done yet. That Leonor Ortega-Till, who was a saxophonist, was asked at a music festival if the band was going to get back together. They misreported her saying, yes, I hope we will someday, as an idea, not having talked to the band. And they reported it as, yes, we're getting back together. The same day I put the countdown down. And so everybody, there's 8 people in the band, and they're all like, fuck, what do we do? And I've got a whole email thread. They were talking about, like, what do we have to give them a nice letter to say, no, we're not going to get back together. This is stupid. Like, we can't do it. And the lead singer, Reese Roper, was like, well, what if we did? Like, what if we did get back together? We could do a Kickstarter, and if we make the goal, it'll cover our studio fees and our travel fees, and we can make the album. And if we don't make our goal, we can be like, good try, guys. You know, we're stuck in the 90s, but that's cool with us because we suck. And they have this self-deprecating humor about their own band, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
And so they got a hold of me, a couple of them, and we talked about it, and we launched a Kickstarter. Well, I ran, with their help, obviously, the Kickstarter, the marketing campaign, we did like an online scavenger hunt forum and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And we launched the Kickstarter, and within 24 hours, we passed $100,000. And then by the end of the Kickstarter, well, the first hour we hit the goal, which was like 30 or 40 grand, and then 24 hours was $100,000, and by the end of it, it was past 200,000. So they did a tour, they did an album, they did all that stuff. You know what I ran that on? A second-hand Linux computer with a half-broken keyboard and a mouse that I found at a dumpster. Not kidding. I had no money.
All right, so I'm a fellow IT guy. You are a little more advanced on the IT stuff because I'm just pretty much strictly software. But the idea of running that off a fucking old Linux platform is fucking nuts.
And this was 2012, so it was right around. I wasn't even a parent yet, So it's ridiculous when you think about that. And it went well and great,
Yeah,
they're working on a second album. They've got some stuff moving with that. We hope to do another campaign soon, and I don't know if it'll be anywhere near as successful because people are like, "Oh, that's what they sound like now." Like, I don't know if they'll like it again, but.
Sorry, man. I went to something that was a little bit off-brand, but like, I think it's funny. I see you randomly will post stuff about it, and I was like, I didn't know if it was something where you were like. If you were part of the band, or you were just like tangentially, or you were.
No. I have no fucking musical talent. The closest thing I have is either running an audio mixer at a live show, which I can do because I can hear decently, or I can edit audio for a podcast or something like that. I can't play an instrument to save my life, nor sing. You don't ever want to hear me sing.
Greg, can you play any instruments? All right.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
my kids are better than me. They got guitar and trumpet.
Greg, I know we're getting close to an hour, so I don't want to keep you guys too long. But I want to let you know, both beers I've had tonight have been light beer.
Let's go.
I've enjoyed them. The first one is from a place called Noon Whistle, which isn't far from my house. It's a Berliner Weiss with peach that actually is pretty good. I really like it.
That sounds like something you be digging, Greg.
Is it tardy though? Is it tardy?
Only just a little bit, just slightly. And it's nice. I really like it. I didn't think I would. I honestly bought it because I thought my wife would like it, and she does. I was pleasantly surprised. I liked it too. Also, it has one of these cool lids. Where you just like hold it.
Not a lot of those, man.
No, and I mean it's a neat little can and whatnot. So, and you'll recognize this one from Collective Arts, Life in the Clouds. It's a double dry hopped IPA.
Collective Arts.
Look at that.
Their label / can game is awesome. They're one of the better ones. Seriously, they make some really unique, interesting designs.
If you ever have a chance, you should look online at Solemn Oath. They're in Naperville, Illinois. Their art design, Solemn Oath, their art design is just fantastic as well. They're one of Solemn Oath. Sorry, Solemn Oath in Naperville, Illinois.
Solemn Oath. Okay, I thought you said Solemn Oath, and I was like, what?
No.
My dad handy there.
They're one of the first ones that, I mean, I think they're 8 years old now, maybe 9. But they were one of the first ones to have a full-time graphic designer on staff. And it shows. Like, they're, number one, their beer is fantastic. And then number two, their art design's just.
Yeah, you posted a lot about them, I believe. And that's one that I've never seen any of it here in upstate New York. So
they're Midwest. They're Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, I think, is the only.
Do you get some of those, Greg?
Oh yeah. Some of them I don't see much though. Much doesn't really escape up here, but I could be wrong. I'm not in the bars not in the bars. I'm not those guys. I'm not in the liquor store every other week or every 2 weeks. I mean, especially now, obviously. Now I'm a curbside pickup guy, but
there you go.
Man, the world has changed fast, man. That's all I got. So Joel, it's been awesome having you.
Yeah, man.
We've hit everything, right?
What was that?
No, I said I think we hit everything. I mean,
pretty sure, man. We went a lot of directions.
Yeah. If we didn't, I mean, let me know.
Joel, is there anything we missed?
Doug and I aren't going anywhere. Doug has to work in the morning, and I know. I'm
off tomorrow.
Oh,
perfect. Oh, wait. So does that mean I should go with this or no? Because I had this.
Oh!
I'm going anywhere to be.
Okay.
If you could send that to me.
I know, right? I've got a 4-pack. That's one of a few.
How much did you pay for a 4-pack of that?
I was given that as a gift.
That's like a fucking $46 4-pack.
I was given that as a gift. I was also given a 128 or 120 minutes.
Hold on, Joel.
Hang on.
Joel, what just came out of your mouth, Doug?
I think that's like a $40 or $45 4-pack.
Oh, well, not here. It's not. Let's see.
Where I am, that is.
Well, what is? Well, I can't even say New York taxes because Illinois got a lot of taxes.
Would you believe the taxes here are less than they are in Pennsylvania?
I saw it on sale at the local grocery store at Meijer. They had it for $23 a 4-pack.
Wait. So that's $11 a beer. Is that barrel aged?
Yeah.
This is not the barrel aged version.
Oh, you didn't get the okay.
No,
well, maybe I've seen the barrel aged version. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
This is not the barrel aged version. I would like to get the barrel aged version. This is just the regular.
I'm like, that motherfucker better be barrel aged.
Yeah.
No, that explains the price difference. I assume.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit! How are you getting it for half the price? And then thing is, every time I hear the barrel aged version is freaking super expensive. So.
No, that goes like.
Which is why I've never purchased it.
I don't do beer hunting anymore. I don't wait in lines for beer. It's just there's a lot of good beer out there. I can't think of a beer I've ever had I would wait in line for. There's some really good beers, but I don't wait in line for beer anymore.
Again, now, Doug, it would be worth it if that was the Utopian barrel aged Worldwide Stout.
That I would agree with. Now,
Different story.
I would buy a bottle of that for $11.
You heard about that though, Joel?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So now that will be worth it. But yeah, straight up worldwide stout.
Yeah, but I would buy a bottle of the
beer,
I would buy a bottle of the barrel aged worldwide stout for $11. That I'd buy a bottle. I would buy
of
that shit.
Right. So
Why don't you, can you show that? I'm sorry, say it again.
You're not gonna crack it open, or you are?
Well, if we'll hang out, sure, I will. Absolutely. I've been using new clean glasses for each one, so you know.
Well, you can start it now, and we got post production.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Before we go, at least show the friedegburger.com logo. I think that's really fun.
I didn't know you wanted me to show that. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Well, why not? The thing is, I was like, I wanted to talk about it. I was like, fuck, I totally forgot about that.
Well, here we go. Doug, shoot your shot.
Yeah, a friend of mine.
Friedegburger.com.
His name is Chris Fasten. He does a lot of like illustration and design work. He's worked on a few movies and he's done some stuff for Five Iron and other people. I was like, hey man, like I love these kind of burgers. I don't know why this domain name's open. Can you make something for me? And he did, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I have some ideas, but I haven't done anything with it. I just think it's a really beautiful looking piece of art.
Of burgers with fried eggs on them.
Maybe. There was a guy who did like Yeti Burger or something. There was a guy who did a blog on burgers in Chicago.
Yeah.
A number of years ago. But I was like, every day, I was like, what are you eating today? What is he eating today? Just because he would find these fantastic, weird burger combos that I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Can I give you one weird burger combo that is freaking delicious?
Yes.
There's a place near me about 20 miles away. My kids, all four of them, like this burger.
Okay.
And it is, the bottom has pesto, and then the burger and cheese, and the top has barbecue sauce.
Interesting.
It sounds gross as fuck, and it's fucking delicious.
I would try it. I mean,
thought it was gonna be worse than that.
What?
I thought it was going to be worse than that. That's not.
No, that is like, I would never think that you could put something that has pesto sauce, like, and then have barbecue sauce. I'm like, that sounds terrible. And then I'm like, well, I have to try it because it's like having a beer that you go, I probably am not going to like that, but because it sounds so weird, I'm going to have to give it a go.
Right.
And it was awesome. Like when we take my kids there, they all order that.
One of the best weird burgers I had, and it seems normal to me now, but when I tell people sometimes I think it's weird, is I had a peanut butter bacon burger.
Oh, I've had those. Those are delicious.
Oh, they're fantastic. And I was like, why would you put
peanut butter over it? Oh.
Okay, so you just obviously put bacon strips on it, and then you just slather the peanut butter.
The one that I had, have you ever had like a stuffed chicken breast, like with cheese inside? This was the peanut butter was inside the burger.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like a Juicy Lucy, but like with peanut butter instead of a cheese. It was so good.
And the very first place I had it at was in Indianapolis, and it was an independent restaurant that had like 4 or 5 places around Indianapolis. Fantastic. They got bought by one of those investment groups, and investment group totally fucked it up. They all closed because they didn't do it. But when it was local, it was awesome, and they stayed in business for years. It was just a fantastic place.
And I've seen one. I saw one in York, Pennsylvania. That was a peanut butter and jelly bacon burger.
Yeah, sounds good.
That was really good. Craig, I'm telling you, those weird ass burgers are fucking awesome.
Well, which leads me to another conversation we can have here, as long as you guys want. But burgers are my house's pandemic rerun meal. It's like every 3 days or something. They're just easy to pick up. The burros are easy to grab at the supermarket. We put them in a sous vide. The kids take them out and sear them up, and they come out perfect, and they're fantastic. The problem is it gets redundant fast. So thank you for this, because fried eggs is something that we have to do on a burger. So we'll do it all one of these nights, and yeah.
There's a place I know in Scranton that has, they call it the Hangover Burger, and it's like a breakfast burger. It's like burger with bacon, fried egg, cheese. It's all
Hash
that
browns?
in a burger.
Hash browns?
Yeah, on the bottom they put them hash browns burger, and it just like that is awesome. And it's like, yeah, if I was hungover, that would probably be a great burger to have.
So what is your pandemic staples? What have you guys eaten multiple times that you're kind of tired of, but you'll still just eat it because everybody eats it, and you can just finish it?
So one of the things we've done recently a couple of times is we've done mastacholi, which you can make a number of different ways, but basically it's like noodles, sauce, cheese, and sometimes if you want to throw in like a meat or a mushroom or something like that.
Even right?
Yeah, you can make a bunch of it and cook it in the oven, and then it's good for like 4 days.
Cool.
And it's really great at the beginning, and by the end you're like, oh, fuck again.
right.
But it's cheap enough, and it tastes good, and you can use the sausage if you split it to make breakfast the next morning or something like that.
So you have one?
And beer.
You have one?
The beer, man. That is a lovely looking beer.
Now, Beguile is a great place in Chicago, but this is not a Beguile beer, obviously.
Yeah, I like the glass, and the logo of Beguile is really nice too.
It's nice. They're cool guys. They do a lot of good stuff.
Doug, do you have any of those pandemic?
For me, it's just fucking chicken. All its fucking variety. It's like there's like chicken's super versatile, and that's great. Except
it's super
redundant. I'm just tired of chicken.
No, I'm with you. Right. I mean, there's only so many ways you can do it. And
well, that's the thing is like I have a super creative wife, and she's just like, we'll make it this way, this way, this way, this way, this, and she'll come up with 15 different ways to make chicken.
Cool.
Fucking delicious. It's just like I'd like another protein, and so the problem is chicken is cheap. It's easy.
Well,
there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. Like it's just versatile, and that's why it's.
Enjoy it, man, because I heard that chicken is the first thing that's going to disappear in our supply chain problems.
I heard it was pork, but
I'll send you an article.
What article? Is it from a reputable source?
No.
All right, man. You know how that goes. Hey, you need to do your research.
Is it fake news? I'm not getting into that.
Oh boy.
Right.
All right, let's cut that off at this point.
Right.
Political.
But I'm going to tease.
Here's one. Here's a real quick question for you guys. Do you wear masks when you go in public? If you go in public,
I do.
Oh, I've been.
I've had. There you go. So I've got we're running out of the what do you call those, like disposable ones? And finally, we ordered like weeks ago. We ordered some like cloth ones that are reusable. They're supposed to be here this weekend, so I can't wait to get those and wear those out, like, and look a little not normal, but not.
We were able to order some where my wife found ones for some lady that was making them who lives like 2 miles from us. So she made them, and I could just go
perfect.
pick them up. Like it was totally contactless. I went and I had gloves. I had a disposable mask on. I went and I picked it up. Brought it home. I wiped the shit out of it. And then I washed all the masks before we used them. And it was like, but now we have 8 masks. So we got, was it 8? Yeah. I think it was 8 masks. So like the thing is they're cloth. So as soon as you use them, you go and you take them and you can wash them. So yeah, that will make you feel so much more at ease. Although if you wear glasses like me when I go out because I can't read shit, it just fogs the fuck up, and you're just like, God.
Here's another one, and I know I'm sorry we're rambling again, but I think Greg knows. I don't know if Doug knows. I'm blind in one eye. Did you know that?
Nope. I'm definitely one here. Does that count?
Right. Yeah.
Before Joel goes, the weird thing about it is I kind of wanted to talk about that, but there's no question.
Yeah, there's no.
Like,
hey man, so you have one eye that works.
By the way,
right. There's no question that you could like lead the guy to talk about his eye, and like, so the fact that this has got brought up,
Joel.
I love it.
One of the okay, so we've all been. This is my third, so we're all getting a little more loose. That's good. One of the things I like about Greg is he's one of a handful of people that I feel like I can ask anything. Mm-hmm. If it's a taboo subject,
cheers.
Yeah,
a subject that might, offend people. Not a life stream, of course. Not, but like if I'm really curious about something and I don't feel like I know the answer, I can ask Greg, and I can know that he's going to give me an honest answer.
I think is fantastic. Yeah, and I think you were one of the people that shot me some racially sensitive questions actually over the years. And sure. I'm cool with that. I am very cool with that because I'd rather my friends talk to me than I don't know if it was I don't think it was a question where you're like, yo, can I do this or anything? But I have gotten those questions where it's like, is this racist or does this appear racist or I'm being insensitive? I get these questions a lot actually. And I'm happy to answer them because I'd rather my friends ask me than say or do something stupid. So
to be clear, I've never asked you, is this racist?
Absolutely. No. My point,
I have asked, yeah.
You've reached out to me. I forget what the subject was, but you're like, I'm really pissed off about this. Do you think that this is something that this person is doing that is racially, tinged or whatever? And we went back and forth. We went back and forth and we talked about it and then we dispelled it. But no, you weren't. You're good. But it was this.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I was like, I'm really mad at this person. Should I be mad or am I wrong?
Right. And it just speaks to what you're saying as far as like you feel that you can just ask me anything, and you do. So it's great. I love it. Thanks.
Yeah, a long time ago, I worked at Walmart. Fucking hate Walmart. Between Walmart and Comcast, I'm not sure which one's more evil. Although Amazon is up there now, if I think about it. Mm-hmm. Side note, I worked for a number of years, and one of my best friends that I worked with there, the last day I worked there, walked me to the pharmacy and was like, dude, we're going to buy you an eye patch because that's awesome. You need an eye patch. We couldn't find one. They were out of stock. That's not surprising because it's Walmart. But when I was a kid, I was outside playing by myself and ended up finding one of those car antennas, the old school car antennas that are long and they do this back and forth thing, which looks really cool when you're a kid. Yeah. And I was playing with it, watching it go back and forth, thinking it was awesome. I was like, well, if I pull it all the way down as hard as I can as like a 6-year-old, which is younger than my oldest now, and I let it go, it's going to fling back and forth and look really awesome. Our carport was parked next to a hill. Well, that doesn't help, but so I could walk up on this little hill next to the car and lean over and pull the antenna over and like lean over it. So the antenna would actually come up and it hit me in the eye. Did a lot of damage. It's awful. And yeah, I can't really see out of my eye now. It's just all a blend of colors in my left side, and my right side I can see just fine, perfect vision. And a lot of people don't know that, but maybe that's why I'm not into sports, because as a kid I couldn't fucking see how far away anything was, so I'd always watch it. Maybe that was it. Yeah, usually people are pretty surprised that happened. I was actually cross-eyed until I was a teenager and I had a surgery and got that fixed, which I guess a lot of people don't know either, but there it is.
Doug, you've been killing it today, man. Doug, you've been killing it today. You've been asking the questions that have elicited great answers. You are my Howard Stern today.
Boom.
Don't put me on that.
Although that's kind of he's kind of a jerk. Not okay, Doug, the other guy.
Okay, he's a jerk, but he knows how to get people to answer. He knows how to solicit questions that offer a very fantastic interview. You may not like the subject matter, but the way the man works his words and the way he works people walk in there and act like, oh, I'm never going to answer these questions. It's Howard Stern. And they end up answering all the questions they don't want to answer. So that's where, and I don't know, Joel, it's not that, but like, to me, part of a fascinating interview is getting people to say shh that they probably normally would. Now, I knew about Joel's eye, but I knew not how to ask that one. And again, you solicited another great response out of Joel. I forget what it was, but it was great.
I am not afraid to answer questions that people might think are personal or whatever. Ask me about politics or religion or personal things, and I'll more than likely give you an answer you're uncomfortable with.
So real quick here, let's go. Let's do some of these comments. So, we don't usually do beef burgers, but we do ramen buns.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's great.
You basically fry the ramen, and you form it into a round patty, so it becomes a bun. So it's crunchy.
Okay.
So like it's not like it's raw, but it's like a crunchy ramen burger. So like you put a fried egg with, they made a sriracha ketchup, which at sriracha, but that's me. But like, what was funny is that sort of thing is really, I've seen that in restaurants, believe it or not, with ramen buns, and that's pretty cool that they do that at home.
Yeah.
Wow, it is cool. So Daniel, this is in response to Joe's story about his eye.
See, I have no dramatic story about the fact that I can't hear shit. I was born like that, and that sucks.
So, I'm a unique personality. I have what I call a non-traditional background as far as spending time in nonprofits and religious organizations and then doing retail and like all that shit. And I've had a lot of success with getting interviews for marketing things, but especially in the last probably 3 years, 4 years, the job offers I've gotten have been, we'll give you this job, basically. We'll offer you a job if you agree to quit your 360 tours. Like you can't have a non-compete kind of a thing. And I've never taken it because I can't give up my side hustles because they're fun. They're what give me joy. And, I just can't do that. And so it's really interesting when you see all these other people not really know what to do with my background. I'm a self-starter and whatnot. So in the last 6 weeks, just because I wanted to see if it make a difference, and it's true, I've started answering that question at the end, like, do you have one of these disabilities? Because like blindness is one of the ones in there, and it talks about not just complete blindness, but like partial blindness. So I started saying, I had on any of the ones that I've answered that way, I've not gotten any interviews. So I don't know if that actually means anything or not with the way people are being filtered out. But
Son, looks like he has something.
So, as someone who can't hear mostly out of his left ear,
there you go.
What's interesting to me is like I have never answered any of those, except when I go in an interview and I'm talking to someone, and I can articulate. I can hear what you're saying because you're looking at me,
right?
And it's a different beast because it's a hearing impediment. It's not a sight thing. So like I can go and say, well, I don't hear very well, and here's why. And I need some help, but I don't need an enormous amount of help. It's not like, all right, I need you to give me a closed caption thing when I'm doing a Zoom thing. Right. It's not that. It's like, so instead of having like when I got there, they had like a one earphone, like headphone. I said, can I get a one that's like a headset? Because the problem is like I can hear one, but like I need both of them to kind of catch everything.
Sure.
And it's an interesting conversation because almost all of them are like, yeah, sure, that's no problem. Like I've never had an employer be like, oh no, you can't do that. But like when I get that there's a problem when you go, okay, well, I have this impediment, and then the impediment is I can't see very well out of this eye. And depending on the job, they may be like, well, fuck, I can't do that. And I don't know. It's a weird middle ground to be in.
No, sure. And I've never done that before. And when I've been in interviews, and I've been with friends with people for years, and they've never known, other than I'm particularly jumpy from my left side. If you decide to, hey, what's up, man? And you're like, I don't expect it because I don't see it. Other than that, it doesn't matter because I'm not out trying to hit, home runs or make touchdowns. So it doesn't really matter. I can look at a screen. The only thing it really matters on is, number one, if you're surprising me, or number two, if I try and see a 3D movie. And I hear even people who have regular...
Again, something I don't think about.
But like that, I will never pay for a 3D movie. I will never pay for a VR experience because it won't work.
Oh, yeah. My goodness. I didn't even think about that.
My wife will work this night. For me, I will never pay that fee because I won't be able to enjoy it. There's just... You have to have two eyes at work, and I don't.
Yeah.
All right. So
it is.
Man, we went all over the place. This has been awesome. Like, seriously, just being like, I say this has been awesome, but this has been just like, I love seeing a bunch of different sides of things I don't see. No, and I mean that, and just like
pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended. Just like, hey, I'm seeing you talk about being a dad that works from home, being a dad that is doing this and doing 15 different side projects and not accepting jobs because you want to keep your side projects alive. And then like, there's just a lot of different elements that we've touched on that I'm really appreciative of.
Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes, Joe, and we'll have you back soon too. Because again, I think in a year you're going to have 4 more projects and 3. Right? That's just what I feel.
Pastrami.
I mean, once I have once I have the courses launched, they'll be launched, and that's not as big a deal. Because the hard part of that is I've got kids at home. I'm quarantined. And for a while, like my mother-in-law was staying with me, and my dad was staying with me. It was hard to find space to record those videos. Now I can do that.
For sure.
So once that's done, who knows what's next? I have no idea.
The horizon is big, man. It is.
Absolutely.
All right, Joel. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for being on. Cheers, man.
Thanks, guys. Yes.
Thanks for the great stories, too.
Cheers.
Yeah, for sure.
Cheers. Oh.
My goodness, that was
another
fun.
one in the books.
Yeah, it's another one in the books, but dude, that was an hour and a half that flew. Like fucking flew.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I have one comment for you. I wanted to make sure, not that Joel was gone, but I wanted to make sure you saw this one.
Fuck you, yeah, I said Halo. All the Halos except Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2. So and there's other Halos that are superior, so I can't wait to trash your shitty opinions on Halo Wars. It'll be fun.
Wow. Shots are already fired. Yikes. I'm just gonna remove myself from the whole thing. You guys can go at it, but
oh, great! I'm gonna tell you, there's gonna be a Force MDs mentioned. Do you remember Force MDs, Tender Love, and all that shit from the 80s?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there'll be a mention of that from Victor. Just a forewarning, and I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
Lol. Yeah, lol, motherfucker.
So tomorrow, Doug, I have me and my friend with Darren Carter tomorrow at noon. You're welcome to join us if you want. Noon Eastern.
What time is that?
Noon Eastern. You said you don't work, so
I will be actually visiting.
I already know.
Social distancing visit, which we hard as fuck, but I need it, and they need it too. So,
well, will you be back in the big chair?
I'll be there for the show at night. It's my son stayed with their mom, which is an hour away from here, and I'll be down there for an hour or two, and then I'll be back home.
Vernon, talk about another guy that has a lot of things going on. That's going to be interesting tomorrow, Vernon. So we're going to wrap here because again, we'll have enough time to blab tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks for joining me here, and thanks for again great questions. You solicited 2 fantastic answers. that I would have never got with my line of questioning. So this is why I keep you around.
The partnership, dude. I'm glad to be here.
This is why I keep you around.
Oh, okay. Cheers.
One of the reasons.
I know.
I love the shower beer stories too. For some reason, they fascinate me. But